I'm Sally Stanton and welcome to Snacks and Suitcases, the podcast packed with tips, tricks and real-life stories to make travelling with kids of all ages a whole lot easier and way more fun. And today, for my very first episode, we are heading to the land of the rising sun, Japan.
Mom, can I pack all my teddies?
Japan has become the hotspot for travellers. Around 36.8 million people visited in 2024 alone, and almost 1 million of them were Aussies. So what better way to launch my very first episode than by sharing a conversation about my favourite country? Now, I'll admit, I am a little biased. I'm half Japanese, so I've been lucky to visit many times, but I've only taken my daughter twice. As a child, I loved every moment in Japan, but returning as a mum is a whole different story. Suddenly, it wasn't just about all the Michelin-star restaurants I could try to get into or the vintage shops I could spend my days in. Instead, I was thinking about toilets, feeding, strollers, transport, all the things you never notice until you've got kids. So that's when I turned to the Tokyo chapter. Hands down the most comprehensive blog for travelling Japan with kids. It covers everything from public bathrooms with change tables to kid-friendly restaurants that cater to picky eaters and allergies. And today's guest is none other than the brilliant mind behind the blog, Jo MacGregor. Now, this is part one of a special two-part chat, because there was just too much helpful information to squeeze into one episode. And Jo and I, well, we can talk. So whether you're planning your first family trip to Japan or looking to level up the next one, this is for you. Hello, Jo MacGregor. Thank you so much for coming on Snacks and Suitcases. I'm very excited to talk to you. I'm almost fangirling a little bit because honestly, I have been following your blog for maybe like 6 or 7 years. So thank you.
That makes me so happy. I do feel a bit like we're old friends. We've been tagging and following each other's journeys and talking nerdy Japan things for a long time.
Oh, I love nerding out on Japan.
Same.
So tell me a little bit more about the Tokyo chapter and how it all came about for you.
Okay. So as I said before, I'm a big Japan nerd. I'm a Japan language nerd actually before anything else. So some people like Japan for the food or for the anime or things like that. For me, while I really love the food too, the main thing for me is the language. So I learned Japanese at high school in Australia and then was lucky enough to get a scholarship for year 11. I did year 11 in a Japanese high school. It was an all-girls school and one of the very few gaijins in the village, one of the few foreigners in the village. And it ended up being amazing because I had to learn so quickly. And I finished high school and uni and I majored in Japanese, of course. And then I was just itching to go back. So I went back on a working holiday and then just stayed and worked in Japanese corporate environment, worked as an interpreter in a ballet school. And I then I did some freelancing and that sort of thing. But after that, I worked for a Japanese hotel.
Wow, so you did so many varied jobs.
I did. And then I met my Scottish husband in Japan. Fast forward. We came back to Australia for a little bit. And then we moved to Japan with 2 very small children. And my eldest was 2, maybe a bit before 2. And my youngest was, I think when we were doing our checking out accommodation, I think he was 5 months or something like that. So that was an adventure in itself. And it's funny, we moved to Tokyo and I have to admit, I was really cocky. I was like,
you thought
this is going to be so easy for me. I speak Japanese. I lived there before. Tokyo is way more English friendly than other places I'd lived because I'd lived mostly in Kobe. And then I'd lived, of course, in Kurashiki. And I got to Tokyo and thought, oh, this is much harder. And just like before you have a baby, you never notice pregnant people until you're pregnant. You never notice change tables in the toilets until you have a baby or you need to look for them, or playgrounds. And so I was finding my way. And the reason I started my blog was because I was problem solving. My husband was working some long hours. So it was just myself and the 2 children. And we went on these little adventures. Because I love Japan, I didn't want to just sit in the house. And I wanted to make this fun for all of us and make it the most exciting learning experience for them, but also fulfilling for me. So we learned as we went, and we had failures along the way. And then I was fortunate enough that I had a lot of friends asking. It wasn't as popular as it is now with Japan travel at the moment, but a lot of people were still coming to Japan, and I had friends of friends referring me saying, oh, you should ask this lady. She's doing it with her 2 children. She takes bullet trains and she takes normal trains and she finds the cute parks. And so I started writing it sort of out of laziness because I was saying the same information over and over. And then I wanted to build on it because that's my personality. I wanted to give everyone the best details I could give them. So then I started doing, well, if you're in Shinagawa, go here for lunch. Then go around the corner. There's the cutest ice cream shop with the little old man who sells it, and tell him I said hi. And then you go to the slide around the corner. And then if you're still going well, go to this place that's maybe more interesting for adults, and then top it off with, I don't know, a museum or an interactive meal. Was that a long answer?
No, it was a very interesting answer. And I love that because it started out as just, you telling your friends where to go, because I think that's how I maybe even started doing this. So many people would ask me, send me your list of places to go in Tokyo or New York or whatever. And before kids, these all revolved around shopping and food pretty much. And now they're very different. And I'm looking for that sort of information, which is why I found you.
Oh, yeah. That's so
And
good.
your website is just so detailed. But why do you think that Tokyo, or Japan really, is just so popular now? People are just craving Japan right now. For me, growing up, I'm half Japanese. I grew up on the central coast of New South Wales. I was probably the most Asian person there, apart from my mum. People thought I was Chinese. Everyone called me Chinese. They didn't even know much about Japan. But it's so different now.
It's so different now. Even when I got my scholarship for year 11, there was someone in my school year who got a scholarship to go to America at the same time. And I remember everyone congratulating that person, being like, you're going to meet the cutest boys and you're going to do this and life's going to be like the movies. And then they sort of looked at me and went like, oh, I heard they don't cook the fish there. Like, good luck. And now every man and his dog is like, and even these same people are like, oh, that's Japan's number one. The reason I think it is popular now is I think it's a bit of a chicken or egg situation, because the more people that go, the more people think, oh, maybe it is more accessible. And it's kind of taken the scariness out. Now, you and I know Japan has never been scary. Actually, there's nowhere I feel less scared than in Japan.
Exactly. So
especially
safe
with my children.
Yeah.
But I think it's taken that, foreignness out of it. And something that I tell or sort of nod with friends who come back from Japan and say they had a lovely time and they were anxious beforehand, is because Japan has all the processes and procedures in place. It's so reliable, which means that you don't need to worry about, will that train really come when it says it will? Because it really will. Or will the pizza really look like the pizza in the picture? Of course it will. It's Japan. Of course it will.
There's so much to love about Japan, but I think one of the things is, well, the word omotenashi, which I'm sure you would know, it's kind of like the practice of going above and beyond for customers. And that's what they do for their, for the people. Even just having the little moist towels on the table in the restaurant, or the bag for your bag in a restaurant, little things like that extend to for children. They make it so easy for kids, right? In every public bathroom, you see a little chair in the toilet so the baby can sit in that while, you're sitting on the toilet. Or they have a sink that's low, so it encourages independence with children. I just find it such a kid-friendly place. I was going to ask you why you think Japan is so kid-friendly.
Oh, I think Japan is kid-friendly for the reasons that you just said, because it is set up so well, and it's like someone was sitting on the toilet one day and thought maybe there should be a spot to prop my baby safely where they're clean. But I also think it's that paired with the safety, but also this I'll help you, you help me community first aspect. So why would you leave an area untidy? Because someone else might need to use this nursing room to breastfeed their child after me. So let's, and it's a sad thing to explain to my Japanese friends why it doesn't always work elsewhere. I remember talking to the girls in my high school, and there was this is the countryside and it was a long time ago, but there was a paper cup taped to the side of the vending machine and it had straws. Saying to my friend, oh my God, in Australia that would never last. And she said, why? And I was almost ashamed to explain it. And because I said, because someone would take the straws, or they might like pop, like hit the back of the paper cup and have the straws going everywhere. And she said, why wouldn't they have straws? And then I found myself being like, I'm so cynical because I had to think of it that way. I'm like, why would they? Why would they ruin the straws for the next person? While a Japan holiday can look different to other places, traveling to other places with children, I think it's a very interactive, and it's so different, but it's a very safe different.
Yeah.
Things look cute. Things make cute noises.
I know,
the
right?
food, kids can get in and have a cook if you're having like shabu shabu or okonomiyaki or something. I think that's why. That's probably, that's my long but not simple answer.
There's cute stuff everywhere. I mean, the kawaii culture. I'm surprised people here didn't realize kawaii means cute in Japanese. But, even when there's something scary, like a hazard sign, it's got a little cute usagi, a little bunny, saying danger.
Yes.
They just make everything so endearing, and kids love that.
Or the construction man. The construction man who's like bowing and has adorable.
Right?
Yes.
Even like, I remember my mum telling me that everybody wears a hat in so many different jobs. And it just kind of it softens the appearance.
That's right. I agree. And it's very clear whose job is what. And even working in a Japanese hotel, I really enjoyed that because this is your realm. However, when the customer asks for something else that's outside your realm, this is the next person you call, and you will provide the best service you can up to your point, and then they will do so. And that results in this amazing omotenashi service that you're speaking about, this exceeding expectations.
As a content creator with your blog, The Tokyo Chapter, what's the number one question you get?
It's a regretful question that I get mostly while people are in Japan, and that's forgetting to bring a stroller. I get lots of messages from parents saying, I wish I'd found your blog before. I just read your article on why you should bring a stroller with children, even for bigger children, as long as they fit in the stroller, of course. And then I have to admit, I'm like, and I do have some rental options or purchasing options, but it is more limited than if you were to bring one from home. So that's probably the one I get the most.
Because there's a lot of walking, especially in Tokyo, right?
There
a lot
is.
of public transport.
Yes, that's right. And it is, would you like me to talk about why stroller is important?
Go for it. Tell me why. I mean, I know why, because I had a kid who didn't like walking. I mean, she still doesn't like walking, but she's way too big for a stroller.
But sometimes I bet you wish you could pull one out.
Yeah.
Same. So you'd think I'd work for a stroller company, but I don't. I don't make any money out of telling people to bring a stroller. The reason is, as I was hinting at before, Japan is not a by-the-pool holiday. So even if you've done Bali or Thailand with children, even a fancy resort, Japan is a lot more walking for kids than they'll be used to, even adults than they're used to. So I'm not saying anyone's children are lazy or they're not ready, but a stroller also, I feel, for children who are a little bit overstimulated, it's a nice little bunker that they've got for their own. It can be their little snack station. It also makes for a bed, of course, so parents can have longer dinners. So I just find the parents that take a stroller, it extends their day out. This is my personal opinion, but I believe, let's say you've got children 3, 4, 5, you're probably going to get 3 things done in a day, and a good meal out is one of those 3 things. However, if you have a stroller, I think you can push it to 4 or 5 things, which is mega with children. If you've gone out to lunch, you've done a park, you've done a temple, you've done, I don't know, a tea ceremony altogether or whatever you wanted to do. If you've done that many things in a day, you've done an amazing job, and then everyone's happy because they've got rested legs and they're safe and they're warm and they've had their little snacks. So it's stretching out the day. That's the shortest answer.
I was very lucky because we used our stroller. My daughter let me use our stroller until she was about 4, I'd say, in Australia. And then I think we were in Japan when she was 3, and we had one of those nanos which fit down the aisle of a plane. So, you can push it right onto the flight. It's easy to pack away. You put it in the overhead on the flight, and then you get there and they can have a nap because of time zones, the flight's exhausting. I loved having that stroller. And she was also at an age that if I had to, she could jump out and walk up the steps and I could carry the stroller, up the steps. Because I remember it was just my daughter and I. Her dad was over there for work, so it was just us in the daytime. And so some of those train stations do not have escalators and lifts, right? So
I was just about to say that. So I was like, there's going to be some people listening right now who are saying, but what about the stroller, especially if they've done a Japan holiday without children? They remember walking up and down the subway steps, that sort of thing, and they're thinking, how does that work? But like you were saying, the stroller gives options. So kids need time out of the stroller, in the stroller, but to have that backup. When it comes to train stations, thanks to beautiful Google Maps being exceptional in Japan. I know Google Maps is amazing, but Japan is next level. You can actually go into settings now and set it to wheelchair access, and it will tell you where the closest elevator is. Now, sometimes if it's a smaller station in the middle of the city, let's say like Shinjuku, Sanchome or something, which is not one of the main stations, you might have to cross the road to go to the elevator. So it will be, but it's still, I believe it's still worth it for that piece. So there is ways around it. And then the best kind of stroller is one that folds and one that's light. So in a perfect world, your child does want to do the stairs or you have to do the stairs. Stroller underarm, kid holding the other, off you go. It's part of the adventure.
Wow. So people are contacting you while they're in Japan saying, where can I get a cheap stroller?
That's the message I get the most.
Wow.
People saying, my friend just sent me the stroller thing because we had a bad day yesterday, which everybody has. And we wish we'd brought a stroller. What can we do? And of course I'll help them. But the easiest way is to bring one from home or rent one from home. If you don't use a stroller in your home country, rent one at home, bring it along. There are some companies now that rent it out, but at the moment, it's just finished high season in Japan, so I can imagine it wasn't as easy. So it's not impossible, but it is easiest to bring it from home.
Okay, so bring it from home. They also make great shopping bags. That's what I use them for. The number one, maybe not question, but the number one thing people say to me is that if they want to go to Japan, but they go, we're going to wait for our son to be a little bit older. Mm-hmm. And I think, you know what? I believe Japan is doable at any age, for kids at any age. I know traveling with children when they're in that crazy toddler stage is hard anywhere, but I really do think Japan is child-friendly for any age. What about you?
I completely agree. And I actually think in some ways a toddler age is very special in a different way to when they're a bit older. So like we were talking about Japan being so kawaii and there's so many kid-friendly museums, when your child's 8 and 9 and 10, of course they're still children and they're excited by things, but a toddler is just like Hello Kitty Land is never going to be more magical and special. Or I also found when my children were younger, it was easier to distract if the day wasn't going well. So if let's go buy an ice cream from the vending machine and you push the button and that sort of thing, that's really special. The hardest time, but it's not impossible, I think is that stage where they want to walk all the time. So I'm thinking like 11 months old till about on their way to 2. For me, I think that's a little harder. And I do feel the most for parents where I see are at that stage still, because they're the parents that I write my playgrounds for, because you do need regal time. And, you remember that age that I do it myself? I do it myself stage. That's probably the hardest. I still wouldn't tell people not to do it, but if they were saying, should I wait 6 months or should I go before it? I would choose one of those on either side. But apart from that, it's just tweaking it, leaning into the child's interest and making it amazing. Something in the other direction of just an innocent question is a lot of people who haven't been to Japan don't want to do Tokyo, but they can't really explain why. And I think it's because they think it's going to be like Shibuya Crossing or Kabukicho from the moment they step out. So a lot of people say, we're going to Japan with kids, but we're not going to do Tokyo. And I actually think that is a shame, because Tokyo is a great part. If you're nervous as well, going to Japan, it's a great starting point. You find more English-speaking restaurants, Japanese food right next door. Lots of Western food options.
So many options.
I agree. And more parks, playgrounds. So I think there are so many different types of Tokyo. Tokyo is incredibly spread out. So you could still be in Tokyo, and if I was to take a picture, you would see a waterfall or you'd see a Japanese garden. It's not all buildings. So sometimes I think people are doing themselves a little bit of a disservice by not including 3-4 days in Tokyo. See how you go at the start or at the end before you do your Disneylands. I think you're limiting yourself. And it's also a great place to have more English-friendly options, such as if you wanted to do the samurai museums or you wanted to do things like that.
I love, love, love Tokyo. My last trip, we pretty much spent 2 weeks there with a couple of trips away, to Hakone and nearby. But I love it. I want to live there.
Exactly that. That's a good base.
Very good base. Now, speaking of that, where should people stay in Japan? Now, I'm talking physically, like in a hotel, Airbnb, a Ryokan, which is a traditional Japanese inn, otherwise known in Australia as a Ryokan.
in Kyoto.
Yes. Oh, God.
I think, of course, this is all my opinion, but for number one for families, I think hotels first. And just before the pandemic was starting to come out, and they're really flourishing now, are these apartment hotels. And I think whoever has jumped on this has decided they're going to listen to what particularly Western families are asking for: a little bit more space, a little kitchenette, bunk beds, so that everyone can sleep, and whose kid doesn't love a bunk bed. So I would be looking at those first, an apartment hotel, and when you can, staying in the one spot for as long as you can, because moving hotels with kids is hard work.
Yes. Unpacking once is great.
Correct. That's right. Then you've got less chance to leave things behind.
Mm-hmm.
You've got kids can set up a little home. Teddy goes on the bed, that sort of thing.
Oh, my daughter, anywhere we go, she sets up. She brings a nightlight. She's got the iPad, her book, her teddies, her Barbies, everything sets up like she's at home, even if we're there for one night.
I'm a little bit like that myself.
Yeah.
In the bathroom, set up my moisturiser.
Oh, me too. My makeup, I even get a cup out to put my brushes in, because I travel a lot for work where I have to do my makeup, for TV, and I have to do that, or I can't find anything in the morning.
I get that. I think 1 or 2 nights in a ryokan is an amazing part of a Japan holiday itinerary for families. Some people mistake it and think that a ryokan, because it's traditional Japanese accommodation, and maybe from first glance it looks like it will be lower cost, but that's not the case.
It's opposite.
It is opposite. It's luxury accommodation. So in most cases, if it's traditional, the food comes to your room. Breakfast and dinner is almost always included. If it's somewhere like, let's say, Hakone, you said before, a lot of the restaurants in that area will close down around 6 p.m. because the idea is everyone stays in a ryokan and the food is provided.
That's
so a
what we
restaurant in
did.
the area would go out of business. So I recommend doing that. And then you sleep on the floor with the tatami. Airbnb, I get a lot of questions about Airbnb. I think it's great for a second and third time to Japan, and particularly outside of the major cities. Now, there's nothing wrong with Airbnb, and I understand, but I do try and explain to people that it is different to going to an Airbnb in Australia or America, because of course Airbnb usually means a full house to yourself, and that sort of thing. And Airbnb in Japan doesn't always mean a lot more space. Also, Airbnb properties are often a little bit further away from the station. So my opinion is any place that is more than 4 or 5 minutes walk from the station is too far with children. And that might sound a bit too excessive, but I have had it happen to me, and I see it happening to people all the time. You plan, we're going to go out for tempura on Wednesday night and sushi on Thursday night. You get tired, and then you're like, I can't bother doing the 10 minutes walk to the station and then taking the train and then the other 10. Let's just not do the dinner tonight. So, and it doesn't matter at the time, but later on you'll be like, oh yeah, we're supposed to do that. It just makes life a little harder. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not bashing up a good old Airbnb. There are some real treasures out there, but I think it's worth looking at how much bigger it is, the price by the time you've added in the cleaning fees, and also that distance, whether it's really more convenient.
We've done a little bit of everything. I've done Airbnbs over there. I've done hotels, ryokan. The hotel, though, we stayed in our last trip was just so convenient. It was in Shinjuku, but it was walking distance to the super busy Shinjuku station, but also Yoyogi, which is a lot quieter. And I think when your kids get a bit older, hotels are easier as well, because you don't really need to have the kitchen as much, or, the big fridge to store their food or milk and that sort of stuff. So I found it, my daughter was 8. It was a good age to start hotels.
Great. And kids really enjoy it too. It feels special.
Yeah.
Another reason that I like hotels and why Japanese people traveling domestically choose hotels is for that front desk. If you have a baby with you and that baby, touch wood, but I don't want anyone's baby to need a hospital or need a doctor, but to have someone to take that language concern out for you, or God forbid there's an earthquake or something like that, to have someone else who sort of looks after you and you can say, what should we do now? Or my kid has a cough. Can you recommend some cough medicine or the closest drugstore? That's take some of the mental load off parents.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that when I was traveling with my daughter when she was really little, because when she was younger, we did stay in an Airbnb and I didn't think of that at all. But the one problem I did find is if you do, you have to check out early or 10, But especially to Australia, the flights, most of the time, our flights to Sydney are not till nighttime, and they can't look after your bags because it's an Airbnb. I find that everywhere is a problem. And with a baby, you've got a lot of stuff. And I buy a lot.
Yes, same.
In hotels, you can keep it there.
Exactly. Yes, that's another good reason. Yes, and the luggage forwarding option. Luggage,
yes.
You can't luggage forward to an Airbnb. Should I explain what luggage forwarding is?
Yes. That is just a godsend.
Do you want to explain it? Maybe
it's pretty confusing. It can be confusing because you have to forward a couple of days ahead of where you're going, right? So you have to be very organized. But yeah, you explain it.
Okay, so the way that we make the most of it is last time I traveled around different places in Japan with my 2 children. So luggage forwarding is you go to your hotel front desk and they'll measure your suitcase and weigh it, and then you get a price. So usually it's around 2,000 yen, between 2,000 and 3,000 yen, I'll say, per suitcase, and it takes approximately 24 hours. Sometimes in high seasons such as Golden Week or over the New Year's period, they may say, please give us more than that. But pretty much I've never had anywhere more than 24 hours ever before. Then it's in your next hotel room when you arrive, and I use it like a portable wardrobe almost. So we have backpacks for that one night that we don't, or hand luggage with our 1 day full, and then we get to the next place. I do a big wash, I restock it, and then I send the hotel on to the next one. Now, my biggest tip is send it the night before you check out, and also send it to every second hotel if you can.
Oh, that's what we did.
Did you do that too?
Yeah,
it's so nice to not see your stuff.
Yes, especially. So we were traveling from the Disneyland Hotel to Hakone, and we were going on the Shinkansen, on the bullet train, and we had 3. I also did not inherit the gene of traveling light. You know, Japanese people, they can pack nothing. We had 3 massive suitcases, and we just took one because we were only going for 3 nights there, and sent the other 2 to our next Tokyo hotel. And it's so much easier to move around. We had rented a car as well when we got there, so we only rented a small car. It would not have fit our 3 massive Western suitcases. It's like the little ferry just took it to the next hotel. It was amazing. But I did have to think ahead about that and make sure I got the right clothes out and stuff.
Yes. But if you're packing for Disney, you have your Disney clothes ready or whatever, and then you're good for the other side. But yes, so once people do master that, I do have some people say, if it's not on the same day, it's not going to be useful to me. And it is take a bit of planning, but it's so reliable. And then when you are on the train with no bags, you feel a bit like, people must think I live here.
Yeah, I know. I always try to look like a local wherever I'm going. The luggage forwarding thing, can you do that? I get confused. So people who are going to the snow, for example, from Australia, they fly in and say they're at the airport and they've got a few days in Tokyo first. Can they send their ski gear to the ski resort and just keep one bag in the city and it will be there in a couple days?
It will be most likely the next day.
The next day.
Unless they've been I just want to give that little star thing. I personally have never had it take more than 1 day, and they will tell you ahead of time. They won't surprise you. You won't miss your flight or anything.
Of course not.
But absolutely you can do that. And I would just send an email to the hotel and say, just letting you know my luggage is coming, making sure the name on the courier, on the forwarding information is the same as your booking. And then some hotels might say, cool, it's going to be 500 yen, so about, $6 Australian to keep it here for 1 night, and it's still worth it. But to give you an idea, so when my husband plays golf from Tokyo, they take a train out to Tokyo, everybody sends their golf clubs the night before to the golf resort.
Right.
And resort, that's just a golf, what do you call it? Clearly I'm a big golfer, a golf range, whatever. And it's meeting them on the other side. And then when they finish, they have a couple of beers, some people have an onsen, and then you post it back. And then the next morning it's on your doorstep. So that's why a lot of people are confused. They're like, how come there's so many people on the bullet trains who don't have any luggage? That's why. So you buy a box of apples for grandma and you send it to grandma's house. You don't put it in your bag and then carry the box of apples back to grandma.
And these are the locals. These are the locals, what they do. This is part of omotenashi. They are thinking above and beyond. Oh, we need to bring that here.
We
Don't
do.
we? Is it the black cat?
The black cat, the kuroneko, yes, is the main
delivery service. Oh, yeah. You'll see it everywhere as well if you're heading over, so you can't miss it.
And if you go to Kidzania with kids, that's that amusement park where kids can have, can try out all the different jobs. They get to wear the little, kuroneko, the cat delivery outfits and ride on a little van. It's very cute.
Jo, that is what my daughter did. We went to Kidzania, and that is you've got to go there. If you've got little kids under 9, I'd say you've got to go. Her favourite job there, they get to pretend to, have adult jobs, and her favourite job was the delivery driver. She wants to be a courier when she grows up.
Do you know that when we went there, we went last time, we've probably been about 6 or 7 times now. The most recent time we went, we actually ran into Hamish Blake. He was there with his family at the same time. It was so special. He was like, I hope he gets some nice jobs. I was like, me too.
Yeah, it's funny. I bet they didn't want to do any TV presenting jobs, or they never want to do what their parents do. My daughter, she could have been a actress there, a journalist, a radio announcer. She didn't want to do any of those things. They're boring. But she wants to be a delivery driver.
Cool.
It was very cute. Kidzania is such a good recommendation, isn't it? We went on English Day, but they don't actually speak much English when you're there. Some of the jobs are guided in English. It's not all of them. The kids can still get along. It's such a great experience. It's like the language of play, I think.
Exactly. And I don't think you need to, as you said, the instruction are in English. But everything's so tactile and visual. So if you're being like the petrol station attendant, that's what my kids always loved. It's so cute. They did the whole thing, and in Japan, I'm sure you've seen it, but the cars come in and it's not self-serve. So they practice the saying, orai, 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 orai. They've got the little gas station outfits on, and it's so cute.
You can be a cheerleader, a petrol station attendant. My daughter was working the pizza shop. That's a favourite.
You can make ice cream. You can be a pilot. You can be a flight attendant. You can be a vet.
Yeah, I think so. You can be a midwife.
Yes, I was going to say that. I don't think you can assist with the birth part, but you sure can look after the babies. And you can also get married, which is a bit controversial.
Oh, yes. I saw a sign for that. We didn't participate in that one.
Look, everyone has to have a dream, right?
Yeah, but it is a whole lot of fun. So definitely recommend Kidzania. So that is in Tokyo.
One in Osaka as well, or in Koshien, which is kind of in between Kobe and Osaka. But if you go to Tokyo, the Tokyo one, it's right next to Team Lab Planets. So that's a great one-day itinerary to pair those together, and it's fun for everybody.
A lot of people want to know what part of Tokyo should they stay in, because as you said, it's incredibly huge and each area is exciting, I'd say. I could probably stay anywhere, but what do you recommend for families with toddlers?
So yes, I was going to say it depends on the ages of the children, because there's so many different kinds of neighborhoods with different kinds of vibes, and I could stay in every different area and love it for different reasons. For toddlers, I usually recommend Akasaka or Roppongi. The reason being that's, in my opinion, the best playgrounds and the most English-friendly restaurants.
Is that where Robot Park is?
That is where Robot Park is.
I got that from you when we went many years ago. Robot Park. So colourful. Is it still there?
Still there.
It's
going.
the best in
in
Roppongi.
Cherry blossom season, there's cherry blossoms all around. It's so beautiful there.
Beautiful.
And there's a lot of other playgrounds and other kid-friendly parks right nearby. So I find that as a good base. The next option outside of that, I would think for families is Shibuya. If it's in your budget, you're then downsizing your room size quite a bit, but you're right in the thick of things. So if money was no object for me and I didn't need space for small children, I would choose Shibuya every time.
I love Shibuya.
And then Ueno is also good for kids that need a good wriggle, because you've got the park right there. It's on the Yamanote line.
Yep. And that is the JR, it's on the JR line, right? It does a loop around Tokyo. So it's sort of very accessible. Yes. My mum used to always tell me to stay on the Yamanote line.
If you're on the Yamanote line, you're near everything because the public transport is so good. Another area that I think deserves a shout out that I've fallen in love with just in the past 2 years is Otsuka. That's on the on the Yamanote line, that city loop line we were speaking of. It's a little tiny neighborhood and it feels like Akasaka. The reason I recommend Akasaka is it feels like you're in the suburbs, but you're right, still in the thick of the city. Lots of little alleyways to explore. There's a little tram that goes through
say that again. I don't even think
Otsuka, Otsuka.
Otsuka. I don't think I have even heard of that area in Japan. When you look out the window from your plane as you land in Japan, if you're landing in Haneda, it just goes on and on and on, doesn't it? Tokyo is enormous. To me, it's bigger than New York. I don't know physically if it really is, but all you see is concrete buildings forever. And then sometimes Mount Fuji popping out which is just the most stunning sight I've ever seen in my life.
It is. It's beautiful. And then you've got green, and you've got some buildings, and then you've got places like Meguro that have the river. There's lots. That's what I keep saying. There's lots of different types of Tokyo. Like Koenji's great if you want to do some vintage shopping. Yes, so I would recommend Akasaka and Roppongi because they feel a bit hidden and they feel a bit more like you're living in Japan with children, so they have everything that you need. But I find Roppongi is nice because it's got a lot of English-speaking restaurants as well, international and Japanese, and it's just a lovely base and you're still close to everything else.
Now, what about if you've got tweens?
For tweens, my daughter's a tween right now. Ueno, once again, Shibuya. I like Ebisu as well. I think Ebisu, that's also on the Yamanote line. Where else? Ikebukuro has a lot of accommodations for families, so you can get, if you've got getting a tween who's nice and tall, who needs a bit more space, I would look into that as well.
And would they also work for teenagers?
Yes, I believe those areas would also be great for teenagers.
What do you think of Shinjuku? Because I know it's a little controversial for families to stay.
I have to admit, Shinjuku is my least favourite for small kids because it gets a bit grimy. Never dangerous because it's still Japan, but kids can see some girly posters and maybe just some people on the street who are a bit drunk and that sort of thing, starting from about 5 p.m. onwards. The west side is good, but it's more of the touristy hotels.
We probably should warn Westerners about the pillows in Japan too. They're extremely uncomfortable.
You usually get one that's really hard. It feels like it's got beans, and one that's really soft that you feel like, I don't know, it's like a jacket in a pillowcase. Some of the hotels now are having like a pillow, what are they calling it? It's not like a pillow station.
The menu? Pillow menu?
Yes, pillow menu.
Yes.
That's what they're doing.
I think some of the Western hotels probably have options. But
They've probably had some feedback.
Yeah, I even remember from my childhood, because I went on exchange as well, and having it was like beans, like you said, beans in a pillow was so odd, and I never got used to it. No, I didn't. I'm okay with the hard beds though. It's just the pillow. We actually stayed in Harajuku, which is kind of close to Shibuya, in an Airbnb, and that one was gorgeous. But somehow we jagged a really good deal on Airbnb. I can't remember what happened, but another Airbnb was cancelled, and so they gave us a voucher to use, and we were able to get this rooftop Airbnb, massive views of the Dior store. I can't remember the name of the street that has all the fancy shops.
But would it be Omotesando?
Yeah. We were right behind there. It was amazing.
Oh, that's a lush area. That's beautiful there. But yes, almost impossible to find family accommodation for more than 1 or 2 people. So well done. That's really good.
It's still there. If anyone wants to know what it is, you can email me, send me a message. Some people think Harajuku is too touristy. I still love it.
I love it. And I think you'd be doing yourself a disservice. So can I tell you like my ideal itinerary for doing Harajuku?
Yes, I love your itineraries, by the way. Jo's website is packed full of itineraries. They are so detailed. It's awesome. You say where the best toilets to go to if you've got little kids, the cleanest ones.
I'm so rock and roll.
I just love it. I love it. Sorry. Continue.
So my favorite thing to do is Harajuku and Shibuya put together on a Sunday, because then you've got the Aoyama Farmers Market nearby, and with children you can buy a whole lot of treats there, and kids can practice their Japanese. So they can practice saying like, can I have 1 apple please? Like ringo hitotsu kudasai, and get a bit of practice like that, get a smoothie. Then you can take your food to Yoyogi Park, have a bit of a play. You've got Meiji Shrine literally next door. These are not minutes and minutes of walk away even. Right next door, you've got Meiji Shrine. So you've done some traditional, lovely green, beautiful things as a family. Because it's Sunday, you might see some people getting married in traditional Japanese outfit. Then, just to make sure you're not getting too much tradition and culture in your life, you walk across the road and go to Takashita Street, which is that main drag that most people think of. It is touristy, it's kitsch, it's rainbow food. It's amazing with kids. And will you find good quality souvenirs there? Absolutely no. But will you, if grandma wants a magnet for the fridge, that's where you get it. That my daughter gets the rainbow cotton candy fairy floss that's as big as your head. And then you can go into your print clubs, which is those photo booths with stickers as a family. And that's on that street too from as early as 8 o'clock in the morning. Then you can wander down and get some latte art. and then move on to Shibuya and do crossing and all that sort of stuff. So for me, that's like a massive day. Oh, one thing I forgot, because Sunday in Yoyogi Park, you have the rockabilly dances as well. So these Japanese men who are dressed up kind of like Happy Days. So they've got the big Elvis-style hair and the leather jackets, and they do all the dancing. And that's just, it's not a planned event. It's a community who all get together on a Sunday afternoon. That also makes for a really cool day in that area.
Oh, so if you're going to Harajuku, Sunday is the day.
Sunday is my favourite day to go. Yeah. So a lot of people say to me, oh, we wouldn't go on a Sunday. It would be too busy. I'm like, no, get right in there. With kids, make sure you've done the toilet before you do Takeshita Street and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So. But you're so right. That's what I spend a lot of time doing. I spend a lot of time looking for high chairs, nice clean toilets, which is not that hard in Japan, but making sure that's accessible for families. And then I just want to take the hard part away from parents so they can focus on eating the colourful fairy floss or having a run in Yoyogi Park together.
I remember seeing on Tokyo Chapter, you've got some great tips for what to do before shops open, because things don't really open in Tokyo till about 10, 11 a.m. And we all know that our babies are up at the crack of dawn, especially if you're coming from overseas and you're on a different time zone. And you have some really good tips for early morning activities and rainy day activities.
That was one of my first articles I think I ever wrote, and that was because I needed it. So I was actually researching for myself. I think I wrote an article about how to fly on a plane with kids on your own, one parent, two children. In Longdeed, it's still up there. But then I wrote the one about Tokyo before 10 a.m. I've also got one Kyoto before 10 a.m. So a lot of the department stores, even coffee shops, which is Australian, blows your mind, doesn't open till 10 or 11.
Yeah.
So I've made a list of places, including gardens, playgrounds, shops that are open or do open earlier, because exactly for the reasons you said, by the time 10 or 11 a.m. runs around with small children, I've already had a full day. Like we're looking for lunch.
I know, right?
And lots of breakfast spots too. They are out there, but if you're out there for the first time walking around hoping to find somewhere, it's not as easy as you might think.
The only coffee shop I found open was a Starbucks or coffee in a can from the 7-Eleven, which, is really not that bad when you're desperate for caffeine.
It's not the end of the world, but by about day 6, you're like, oh, I'd really like to sit down for breakfast or go somewhere where my kids can play while I sit down. Absolutely.
I think you had a great recommendation. I didn't end up using it, but I think a bookshop in Daikanyama, is it?
Oh, the tea site in Daikanyama.
Yes, that's it. I believe that's open before 10 a.m. And that was on my list if I really needed to go somewhere.
That place is beautiful as well. It's so gorgeous.
Oh, their bookshops are incredible, aren't they?
And there's a lovely green patch with a lawn there as well, and you can get pancakes and yes. So that's kind of how my brain works for me just as a parent. I try and curate little moments of 2 or 3 things and hope that we don't need to use them all, but I've also got it up my sleeve in case someone's not having the best day, me or my children.
You are inside the mind of every over-planner mother, aren't you? Anxious mum. That's me. I'm an anxious mother. I love to be so planned.
Thank you. There's nothing relaxed about me. I've stopped pretending there is.
No, you're going to own it. Just own it. It's working for you. All right. What about budget-friendly tips for Japan? Can you do Japan on a budget?
Yes, I believe you can. I believe it costs more to not be as organised. So being organised, I think, is the number one way if you really are watching your budget. And that means booking accommodation. I quite like sending families who are worried about accommodation prices to, it's just my personal favourite is booking.com, because you choose cancelable options. So you can keep shopping around but know that you've got somewhere for your family to stay if nothing else comes up instead. But my main options for keeping costs down is take advantage of the free museums, or even if the museums cost money, usually it might be 200 yen, 300 yen, so a couple of dollars.
Yeah, okay.
For lunch over dinner. So even at the same restaurant, if I was going to send you somewhere to try Wagyu beef or Kobe beef, the same restaurant will have a lunch set, which may set you back about 2,000, 3,000 yen for Wagyu. However, if you go to that same restaurant for dinner, it's more likely to be 10,000 or more, 15,000 yen, because In Japan, dinner is more of a eventful moment and you're expected a bigger portion, that sort of thing. So to really keep costs down, you can throw 2,000 yen at lunch and then have dinner back at your hotel or do a cheap and cheerful option at dinner time instead.
Oh, yeah. And there are plenty of those. I mean, Japan and Tokyo especially has so much great food. And I find you can spend the littlest amount and the most amount you'd ever spend on a meal in Tokyo out of anywhere in the world. And I think everybody knows about konbini.
Yes, the convenience stores.
And
yes.
I don't know if they know as much about depachika. I could roam the food halls of these department stores all day. They're just packed with so many treats. Some are very expensive, some are very cheap.
That is one of my tips as well for children, especially if you've got picky children, but it doesn't mean the grown-ups have to eat pizza and pasta the whole time, is those depachika. So the bottom of the big department stores have a big food hall. It looks like a deli. I guess by Australian terms, you'd call it like a deli. And you don't eat there. You get it to take away. So you have some salads, some gyoza, some bread, some sushi, every kind of food. And then everyone can take it away. So that's a great option. Another one is a lot of people forget that Japanese supermarkets are incredible.
Oh my gosh.
So convenience stores are famous.
Oh. Yeah, sorry, I love Japanese supermarkets. In fact, it's not just in Japan. Whenever I travel, I pretty much go, even before child, to a supermarket in the area, like a local supermarket. I just love looking at that kind of thing.
It's really nice. And for people who want to have more healthy options as well, of course, a supermarket is going to have that. But it's not just fresh produce in Japan. It's ready-made bentos, meals. You can get a ready-made pizza. You can get a traditional sushi bento. You can get whatever. So yes, for keeping costs down, being organised with your accommodation or the bulk of your expensive portions of your trip ahead of time. Then also you know what you've already spent and you can just focus on your leftover money. Not that anyone has leftover money. Then eating lunch out over dinner. If you wanted to keep costs down on water, you can take your own water bottle, and there's an amazing app called My Mizu. Mizu is, of course, the Japanese word for water, and that will show you all the places you can fill up your drink bottle for free, all the restaurants or public spaces that will allow you to fill up your drink bottle, so that can save, and it's good for the environment too.
Although water is like 100 yen, which is like $1 Australian dollar.
That's
so
true.
cheap compared to here.
That is true.
And it's in vending machines. There are vending machines everywhere full of water, so you've also got that option.
Very true. And then, yes, making use of the free museums for kids and adults and gardens. Parks, playgrounds.
Oh, beautiful gardens. What are some of the free museums?
Oh, my goodness. So in Ginza, there's a children's police museum, which is floors, and kids can ride in they sit in a police car. They dress up in the police outfit. There are games where they push buttons and catch the bad guys. There's a police helicopter they can sit in. It's amazing. And then also in Shinjuku, there's the fire museum. Out in Narita Airport, there's an incredible, I think it's called Aeronautical Science Museum. It's a free gas museum right next to Team Lab Planets. And if they're not free, they're seriously like 100 yen, 200 yen entry, and free for children under 4 usually.
I think we did the toy museum, which wasn't free, but it was pretty cheap. And my daughter loved it. We were there for hours. She was 3 at the time.
That place is beautiful, and everything's all wooden Japanese toys, and it's gorgeous. But yes, I think that place is like under 500 yen for adults even.
It was cheap. It was cheap, and it's near Shinjuku Park, I think. So you can sort of walk from there, and it's probably on your itinerary list, I'm sure.
It is. But I do want to stress, because sometimes I want to jump ahead because I know what people say when I do give them advice like this. A lot of people think, why would I want to go all the way to Japan just to go to museums and playgrounds? And I'm not saying that at all. I believe a good itinerary has got things for everybody, and mum and dad need to be happy the most. But these playgrounds sprinkled in and keeping them in your brain, you may never need it, but I like to think that someone might look at my blog and be like, if it all goes downhill at this temple, around the corner, she said, we can get an ice cream and there's a slide. And so I like to think that they're the backups, and you might need them and you might not. And you might think, we didn't need any playgrounds that day because the kids were so involved with looking at the koi fish in the water or all those sort of special things. But just to have them in your head is a great peace of mind as an extra tool. And also I think it's fair for children to say a little bit of your turn, a little bit of my turn. So I'm very comfortable saying to my kids, now remember, we went to the park all morning. This is something mummy really wants to read, this plaque in this museum about, or listen to this man talk about something. It's my turn. And after that, we'll do something that's your turn.
Absolutely. And the playground thing, you've got to have one in your back pocket. And they are next level in Japan.
I agree. I think it's really, and all the really well-traveled parents know that you need a playground. It's not diminishing your holiday. It's not taking away from the authentic part of the holiday. It's making sure that everyone in the family has a really good time, and it's clever time management, sanity management.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes it is nice just to let your kid run around in a playground and sit down and breathe for a second. That's okay in any country. There's a great playground in Odawara, which is on the way to Hakone, which is, the tourists are all heading in that direction as well, that we spent hours in. It's Wanpaku Land.
Wanpaku Land, that's it. And it's got the rolly slides, and I love that playground as well.
It's so good. And there's one of those tree climbing courses there as well. Obviously, you have to pay for it. It's the same company, I think, that you'll find all around the world, but that's in there. You could spend a whole day running around there. There's even like this just a big slope where you can bring cardboard boxes to slide down.
There you go, Children's Forest Wanpaku Land. Yep, in Odawara, and it's got that beautiful roller slide as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all just so different. And like when parents are sitting and chilling, you're still, let's say you and I in a beautiful parallel university in Japan right now together, and our kids are playing on the playground. We're probably having something yummy from a vending machine. We're check out that beautiful tree over there, or we're watching another Japanese family interact. It's all just so special and safe special.
Yeah, I know. And I mean, talk about doing it on a budget. That's basically free. Thank goodness for Jo and her over-planning ways. She's really done all the hard work for us, hasn't she? And you should take a look at Jo's retro playground recommendations on her blog. A couple of my faves, or my daughter's favourites, are Robot Park in Roppongi and Osaka Castle Playground. That's also epic. In part 2 of this episode, Jo spills her top 3 must-dos in Japan, and they're not what you'd expect. She uncovers some hotel booking traps to avoid and gets our tummies rumbling as we talk family foodie spots. Plus, there's a few surprises you won't want to miss. And if you've got any questions about Japan, or you just want that link to the awesome Harajuku Airbnb I mentioned, send me a message on socials. I've got you covered. I'll pop all the links in the show notes too. Until next time, happy travels.
And don't forget the snacks.